I've been living alone for many years now. After my wife passed away, people started to worry, sometimes kindly, sometimes loudly, sometimes like they were more uncomfortable with my silence than I was. They said I would be lonely. They told me I should move closer to my children, go out more, keep myself busy, stay social. A few even said it like a warning, don't isolate yourself. And I understand why they said it. They love me. Or at least they didn't want to imagine an old man sitting in a quiet house with nothing but memories. But here's the thing nobody asked me, not once. Am I actually unhappy? Because I didn't move. I didn't suddenly fill my calendar. I didn't force myself into noise just to look normal. And strangely enough, I was completely fine. Not the kind of fine where you grit your teeth and pretend you're okay. I mean genuinely fine, better than fine some days. Peaceful, steady, whole. There's something I learned fairly late in life, and I wish someone had said it plainly to me when I was younger. Being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. Not at all. I've been surrounded by people and still felt empty. I've sat at tables with laughter, faces, conversation, and still felt like I was watching life through glass. And I've had mornings where it was just me in a quiet house, light coming through the window, and I felt full. Loneliness has nothing to do with how many people are around you. It has to do with connection, not proximity. It has to do with whether you feel understood, whether you feel known. You can get that from one person, from one honest conversation a week, and you can miss it completely at a party with 100 people smiling until your face hurts while nobody actually sees you. So I stopped asking myself the wrong question. I stopped asking, am I alone too much? That question is a trap. The better question is, am I connected? Not, do I have people around, but do I have someone I can be real with? There's a difference, a big one. I talk to my son once a week. Not for long, not in a dramatic way. Sometimes it's 15 minutes, sometimes 25. Sometimes we mostly talk about ordinary things, what he ate, how work was, what the weather's doing. But underneath all that, there's something that matters. I feel seen. I feel like my life still touches another life. For me, that's enough. I know some people need more, and that's fine. But a lot of people feel exhausted, not because they lack people, but because they're living according to what society says they should need instead of what they actually need. They think they have to socialize more, be busier, surround themselves with bodies, and chatter, otherwise something is wrong. Sometimes you need far less than you think. Sometimes what you need is not more people. It's one real connection and the courage to stop performing. When you live with someone, your life already has structure. Meal times, shared routines, little rhythms you don't even notice until they're gone. My wife and I had ours. It wasn't glamorous, it was ordinary, but it held the days together. After she died, people assumed the biggest problem would be quiet. The truth is the bigger danger is blur. Days that slide into each other until you can't tell one from another. When you live alone, if you don't build structure yourself, time can become foggy. And fog can make your mind dangerous. So I built my own rhythm. I wake up at the same time every morning. I don't do it because I'm disciplined like a soldier. I do it because it's a handrail. I make coffee with the same old kettle. I use the same mug. I sit in the same chair by the window. There's a small bird feeder outside, and in the mornings the birds come like they have an appointment. I sit there and watch them for a while, 20 minutes, give or take. Not because I'm trying to be poetic, because it gives the morning a beginning. It gives the day a shape. It tells me this day is real. It has weight. It counts. Then I read the news slowly, not to scare myself, just to stay connected to the world beyond my front door. After that, I make something simple to eat, nothing fancy. The point isn't the food, the point is the structure. People hear routine and they think boring, going like it's a punishment. But routine, when you live alone, is not boredom, it's stability. It's saying, I am still here and I'm still participating in my own life. And here's another thing people don't talk about. When you live alone, you get to find your own rhythm. That sounds small, until you've spent decades matching your life to someone else's schedule. When my wife was alive, we ate dinner at a certain time because that's when she got hungry. I didn't question it. That's what you do when you love someone. You adjust, you make space. After she was gone, I kept eating at that time out of habit, and one night I realized I wasn't even hungry. I was eating because the clock said I should, because the ghost of our routine was still running the house. So I changed it. I ate later. I ate when my body actually wanted to eat. And I remember feeling something I didn't expect to feel. Freedom. Not the kind of freedom that celebrates loss, because I would trade that freedom to have her back in a heartbeat. But the kind of freedom that comes from realizing you are allowed to listen to yourself again. You're allowed to live at your own pace. Living alone isn't always a loss. Sometimes it's permission. That's not loneliness. That's freedom. Now, there are days you won't feel like doing any of this. Days where getting out of bed feels heavier. Days where you look at the quiet house and you think, is this it? Those are the days you need something that needs you. People need to be needed, not to stay busy, not to prove they matter, but to remain connected to life itself. For me, it's my cat. She's older now. She has opinions. And she expects breakfast at the same time every morning. If I'm late, she lets me know. Loudly. And I'll tell you something, having a living creature look at you like you're late for your own life, it helps. It pulls you out of your head. It gives you a reason to stand up, even when your feelings are dragging their feet. And it doesn't have to be a pet. It can be plants, a small garden, the birds you feed, a little responsibility that depends on you showing up. I keep a notebook by the window. I started writing down the birds I see, the date, the time, the kind, sometimes how many. It's a small thing, a silly thing if you want to call it that, but it gives my attention somewhere to go. When you live alone, attention matters. If you don't choose where your attention goes, it will go inward, and if it goes inward for too long, the world gets too quiet and you get stuck in your own head. That's when loneliness starts to creep in. Not because you're alone, but because you've lost your connection to anything outside your thoughts. Another truth, when you live alone, your social energy becomes limited. I don't know how else to say it. You simply have less to spend. If you're younger, you can go to a crowded room, smile, talk, laugh, come home and still feel fine. When you're older, it costs more, it costs energy, it costs recovery time. So you learn to be selective. You can't afford to waste it on people who drain you. You can't afford relationships that are just noise. I have a few friends, not many, 2, 3, maybe 4 people who actually know me. People I don't have to perform around, people I can sit with in silence without feeling awkward. And that to me is worth more than 20 acquaintances who only know my name. I used to feel guilty about that. I used to think I should want more friends, more activities, more social life, because that's what the world praises. But quality matters more than quantity. A real conversation is worth more than a dozen polite ones. A friend who understands you is worth more than a room full of people who only recognize your face. If you're introverted, allow yourself to have a smaller circle. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you're not introverted, if you truly love company, that's fine too. Just don't let anyone shame you into a life that doesn't fit your nervous system. Don't let the world bully you into noise. And now I'm going to say the hardest part, the part that took me the longest. You have to make peace with yourself, because when you live alone, you are with yourself all the time. If you can't stand your own company, living alone will feel like a sentence. If you can enjoy your own company, living alone can be, and not just tolerable, but good. It took me years to learn that. Years of thinking I was too quiet, too boring, too much of a homebody. Years of comparing myself to louder people and feeling like I was living the wrong life. But I wasn't living wrong. I was just living differently. Different isn't wrong. I like reading. I like slow mornings. I like that quiet moment when the coffee is hot and the house is still. I like the birds. I like stroking the cat and going to bed early. I don't enjoy parties. I don't enjoy small talk. I don't enjoy being busy just to be busy. And at some point, late but not too late, I stopped apologizing for any of that. That moment, more than anything else, is what turned living alone into living well. Do I miss my wife? Of course I do. I really do. There's an empty chair. There are evenings that are quieter than they used to be. There are moments when something funny happens, and my first instinct is still to turn and tell her that doesn't go away. But missing someone isn't the same as being lonely. I carry her with me every day. I think about her. I talk to her in my head sometimes, the way all people do when nobody's listening. And I still have a full life. A different life than before, but still full. So if you're living alone and struggling, ask yourself this, honestly. Are you lacking connection? Or have you simply not given yourself permission to live the way that suits you? One problem needs connection, the other needs permission. Those are two very different things. Some people are born to enjoy quiet. Some people are born to live alone. If that's you, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not missing what everyone else has. You're built for a different kind of life. And a quiet life can be a beautiful life if you let it be.